Hi guys, Q264 here, and today is Animorph-a-Monday, a Monday in which we talk Animorphs. I try and do one Animorphs video a month here on the channel, and what we're going to be talking about today is the newest graphic novel. This just released about a week and a half ago. Yes, for anyone who didn't know, there are doing graphic novel adaptations of the original books, and this one just came out. So I'm going to be reviewing this one today, sharing my thoughts on it. It is an adaptation of the 5th book in the series, and this is in my top 15, maybe my top 10 books of the series, so I was looking forward to seeing it adapted in the graphic novel. I've reviewed the previous graphic novels here on the channel. I reviewed book number 1 on the channel, had a lot of fun talking about it. I reviewed book number 2. I reviewed book number 3. I did not review book number 4. I was pretty disappointed with this one, but I am looking forward to talking about this one right here. And I'm going to review this one a little bit differently than I did the other one. So with all that said, let's go ahead and jump into the video. As I said, I am going to review this a little bit differently than how I have reviewed the first 3 that I did here on the channel. Every single review has been different, kind of formatting-wise. I've done an animated review for book 2. Book 3 had more edits to it and more panel shots. Book 1 was more of an overview. This one, what I want to do is I actually just want to kind of walk through the book a little bit, point out some particular panels, and give my thoughts kind of as I go through. I'm going to not cover every panel or all the pages because I want to encourage you to pick this one up. Spoiler alert, I do actually like this one. I'll get more into my overall thoughts at the end after we walk through the book. With all that said, let's go ahead and break open the book. All right, here we go. Front cover here. I did go for the hardback because I'm just a hardback snob, I guess. But here you go. You open it up. We got some stuff here. Look at that great opening page here. So here we got the scene where the criminals are about to jump this older guy. And I like that Chris decided to draw them like this because in the previous books, he went with a stereotypical redneck bad guy. And, you know, I even made fun of Chester in book number 2. But I like that he drew this guy with the mohawk. Definitely gives me Bebop vibes. Now here you can see on the next panel here, you got Rachel and Jake. So one of the complaints I've had for Chris in his previous Animorphs books and continues to happen here, and in some cases actually gotten a little bit worse, is that he draws characters exactly the same. Rachel and Jake are drawn exactly the same with just different hair, and you can kind of tell their clothes. But with this headshot, you can clearly tell they're drawn exactly the same. There's no real defining features that really separate them. I mean, it just makes it look a little bit too cartoony. I know I've criticized them in the past about this. I just thought this panel in particular really demonstrates what I'm talking about. And we've got a great morphing sequence here. I think this looks really great. There's lots of things about Chris's art that I do like, and one of which is I love how he does morphing sequences. I think he's been great in every single book. There's been a great morphing sequence, and as far as making it look terrifying, which is how it's supposed to look and how it's described in the book. However, I'm not a fan of how Chris decided to draw Axe here. Like, this does not look like Axe to me. Maybe it's because I like Axe from the TV show, and that's how I envision him, but you know, he has a specific model that is used in book number 8. He's also played by Paulo Costanza, who does a great job as Axe, and just does not look like Axe to me at all. It just doesn't. I'm sorry. Go ahead to the next page. You can see something that I've started to notice and does pop up a lot here. It actually was a lot worse in book 4, but these blank backgrounds. Like, here you go. On this top panel, you've got the barn. You can clearly tell they're in the barn. And it just kind of is lazy because it's just this shading gradient that gets used across all these panels. In book number 4 was really, really bad about this, where there was just blank gray gradients or just blank white backgrounds. And if you compare that to what Chris did in book 1, where there was very few of those, that pops up some in this book, as I said, but it's not as bad as in book 4. So we got the food court scene, and Axe is trying to get a coffee. Doesn't even know what a coffee is, but it's $2.95 for a coffee. You got to miss those 90s prices for things.
59-cent Big Mac sandwiches at McDonald's. Have you had your break today?
This was funny. We get the security guards come in after all the ruckus that's been caused, and this little panel down here with this guy with these short shorts on, it's completely ridiculous. It looks like Paul Blart's on an episode of Reno 911. What's funny is this guy here, he's complaining about his gout acting up and telling him not to run. Later on, it's revealed that he is actually a controller. It's just hilarious when you think about the fact that a controller is complaining about gout. I just find that funny. I don't know. I'm not going to lie. This page right here, I was laughing at this panel. I was laughing so hard. Just look at his face. It just reminded me of Sebastian from Little Mermaid. This is great. Just the next panel here. See, this is what Chris Grind does so well. He draws animals well. He draws morphing well. So after a nightmare, we get this panel right here where Marco's waking up at home, and this person, Marco, wake up, and I just see him, and I'm just like, is that Jake? It looks like Jake's had a rough night. And then as it goes on, you're like, oh, that's supposed to be his dad. And this kind of goes along with the same thing I've said, which is that Chris Grind, I just wish he would differentiate his drawings more. It does look a little bit different than Jake, but it's close enough to where you cannot tell this is a full-grown man that's Marco's dad. I'm sorry, you just can't from these panels. If you remove the bubbles here, you'd think this was Jake. So here we got the next day, and Axe is putting together the parts that they bought from the mall. Now, I'm not going to criticize any of the narratives in the book because it's pretty much straight adapted from the original book, but how'd they get the stuff back? They had to dump everything in order to escape the security guard controllers and the cops that showed up. You know, they morph lobsters to get away. You know, they dished their bag of stuff, so I don't know how they got it back. They don't actually explain it. This is another instance in which you got this empty white spot. Now, this can work when you're laying out a panel to break it up a little bit, but it also comes across as a little bit lazy as a way to not draw like bushes and leaves and stuff because he's in a tree. And then this is kind of a weird perspective. They're just showing like half of his head and then putting this is like an exposition panel. That's how it looks. It's like, hey, we're going to draw this top part of this guy's head. And hopefully you know who it's supposed to be, and then then have all the exposition here at the top. It just kind of is an odd choice. I did laugh at this panel. I don't even remember if this was from the original book or not. We got Marco making a joke about everybody ants now. Get it? Like that song, except for I changed dance to ants. Oh, never mind. I just find that funny.
A joke. I see.
I guess I'm just easily amused. I don't know. So as with previous books, one of the things that Chris decided to do was use different color thought speak bubbles here so we could tell who is talking. Now, unless you read the previous books, you may have some issues deciphering this because it's not like there's a key telling you. But you know, I guess because I've read the original book and the previous graphic novels, I was easily able to decipher who is talking based on the color word bubbles. But I do think that's a pretty good way to show who's talking. It is a visual medium. This is the type of thing where you're utilizing the visual medium to help tell the story. I do think it's funny. Axe is like, what, you know how to operate this computer? It just kind of reminded me of episode 3 of the TV series where they get the disc and then they're just give it to Mark. I'm like, well, you know how to fix this, right? You're the computer guy.
You're the computer whiz. Compared to you, maybe.
Great sequence here. I'm trying not to share too much of the book, so I am skipping a lot of pages in between because I want you guys to go pick this one up if you haven't. But I really like the way Chris did this. You can easily decipher what's happening. You can tell that the bigger black ants are Animorphs and the smaller brown ants are the attacking ones. And it's even though there's a lot going on, you can tell what's happening. So I think he did a really good job here. Here, this scene, they are escaping and they're coming out of the ground like Night of the Living Dead or something. Really great sequence that's drawn. And this is just kind of the things that make this book so much better than book number 4. Like when you're looking at this, you're like, this feels like a real comic graphic novel. It doesn't feel like things were being skipped. Unfortunately, book 4 felt that way. So this is kind of weird when you're getting to this. There's a fight scene that happens between Rachel and kind of a bully that's in school. And what's weird is that when you're talking about the inner monologues here, This whole section is really just switching to Rachel's point of view, and obviously in the original book that doesn't happen. So it's just kind of odd. Now, I always liked this scene. I think this scene between Rachel and Marco and the school is one of the best scenes in the book. It's underrated in my opinion. The whole book is good, but I just like the interplay between Marco and Rachel. I think that they play off each other really well here. It really demonstrates how their relationship kind of functions. So Marco ends up getting hit. So he's got the one black eye here in this panel, but then all of a sudden in the very next page, he's got two black eyes. And did he get hit again? What happened here? Why does he have two black eyes? They don't actually say anything about it. So I don't know if that's an error or what that is, but it just doesn't really seem to make a lot of sense. And then as we go to the next page, you get a whole scene with this whole page is just Rachel at home. It's just this one page that very much sticks out like a sore thumb here. And this page right here, page 127, where Marco's explaining to Jake that he wants to quit because he doesn't want to have to leave flowers at two graves. This kind of thing is why Marco's one of my favorite characters. He was my favorite character when I was younger, and he's still one of my favorite characters. Let's say Jake's probably my favorite character, but Marco's a close second because of stuff like this. Like, he understands the ramifications of what's going on and what could happen, and he just doesn't want to see anything bad happen. Here we go. We got Animorphin time as we've got the battle morphing sequences here, which look great. Great stuff, man. I really love these couple pages. It gives me the Animorphs vibes that I wanted.
And now a word from our sponsors.
Now, we've seen bug fighter designs before, but I don't think we saw one this close up. At least I don't recall. But I do like the way Chris decided to design the bug fighters. So the Animorphs think they won their little skirmish, and then all of a sudden, all of these Hork-Bajir appear on this ridge here. And again, this is probably an issue with the original book because this is just an adaptation of it. But how did this many Hork-Bajir get on the ridge? That's kind of crazy. Did they just teleport in? Where they couldn't have been hiding anywhere because we saw the landscape of where everything was before they morphed. So it's I mean, did they have invisibility shields? Were they cloaked or something? I don't know. But anyway, I just thought this was weird. So this was very confusing for me when I was reading it. The red thought speak bubbles is for Visor 3. I understand that. But I thought these were shots of Axe's face. Clearly, this is supposed to be Visor 3. You can see the Hork-Bajir silhouette here, which kind of helps you decipher that. This is supposed to be Visor 3 as well. This doesn't look like Visor 3. They just look like Axe. He should be mean mugging or something. If you compare it to how he looked in the previous graphic novels, it was easy to tell it was Visor 3 because he was mean mugging. He just has such soft features. It just looks like Axe. His color is the same as Axe. I don't know what happened here or why this is like this. And I know I've commented on this before, but I don't like the way Chris decided to do the Hork-Bajir. These little tiny little legs. These do not look like creatures that live in trees. These look like tiny dinosaur animals you get out of a bubblegum machine. Now, there's more than one splash page here in the book, but this is the one I'm going to decide to pick out to share with you guys because I really like this. This gives you a good scope. We've got the mothership here, the blade ship. You got the bug fighters. You can clearly tell, okay, well, this is definitely bad news for the Animorphs. So some people may have issues with the way the pool ship's drawn. For me, I think this is a lot better than what we got in book 4 with the dome ship. That dome ship in book 4 was a massive disappointment. This at least has looks like it's got a little bit of creativity to it, and I don't mind the design. Is it kind of simplified? Sure, but it looks a lot better than the pool ship did in book 4. So here we got the Animorphs. They're coming off the ship, and you've got the Hork-Bajir with different color uniforms. Now, this is important later because each one of these colors represents Hork-Bajir that are with Visor 3, and then Hork-Bajir that are with Visor 1. It's weird that Chris decided to go with shirts, because I'm pretty sure in the original book they did armbands. Some reason seeing a Hork-Bajir with a red shirt seems kind of strange to me. Do you want them to die? Give them a red shirt, right? Shout out to the other Star Trek fans out there.
I can't give you no more power, Captain. We need your dilithium crystals. You've got to give them to me.
And the shirts just kind of look goofy, especially when you compare them with their tiny legs, the way Chris draws them. I don't know. It makes them look less intimidating somehow. Then we get the Visor 1 reveal, which Marco's reaction, sure, that works. It's just kind of weird. You just get this blank white. I guess just the way that she's introduced in the panels here doesn't seem very cinematic, I guess, to me. It just kind of comes across as boring, I guess is the word I would use for it. But one thing you want to note here is that Visor 1 is wearing a red shirt. So we now know that Visor 1's uniforms are red. Important to keep in mind, because I'm about to mention something here as we go forward. And we got a similar issue here as to what I was talking about Visor 3. If you look at these panels, this does not look like Visor 3 at all. This literally looks exactly like Axe. And it's just weird when you're reading it, because I'm like, who, especially because Axe is in this scene, so it's like, why is Axe standing behind Visor 1? Oh, that's not supposed to be Axe, that's supposed to be Visor 3. Well, why does he look exactly like Axe?
What is going on here?
He has no menace at all. Like, he looks like Pikachu, basically. He's got all these, like, really soft features. It makes him look like Axe. Literally, just make him have angrier eyes. Give him a slightly different color blue here. Draw his stalk eyes, please. I mean, these just look like giraffe nubs. And I don't think Chris drew his eyes at almost any of these panels, or his stock eyes drawn. I sound like I'm whinging a lot, but there's lots of things that Chris did really good in this book that I think is a lot better than book 4. But differentiating your characters is a key point of telling a story in the visual medium, and unfortunately, I think there are specific things that are just lacking, unfortunately, here. So now we're coming back around to the color uniforms of the Hork-Bajir, because again, this is important. We know that Visor 1's Hork-Bajir are red. The red Hork-Bajir are letting the Animorphs out so they can escape. They tell them, hey, you need to be on the lookout. Side note, this Hork-Bajir here reminds me of the dinosaur from the dinosaur sitcom from the 90s. Did anybody else think of that, or is that just me?
Wow, that was weird.
So keep in mind, the red shirts are Visor 1's, and the red shirts just let them out, okay? So as we go along, we see this great shot here, right? The Animorphs are escaping. I actually kind of like the way that this is designed. We can see them kind of moving through the ship. We get a little idea of the scope of it. It kind of reminds me of a dungeon crawler video game like X-Men Legends or something like that. So I think this looks good. Seeing Rachel just trounce over some taxons is great. I'm not gonna lie, I laughed at this little section here where this Hork-Bajir is like, oh man, I'm about to get punched. He just gets knocked out. I laughed at that. Again, I guess I'm just easily amused. It's a little bit cartoony, but I like a good cartoon from time to time. As you can see, these are red shirt Hork-Bajir. They are attacking the Animorphs. The red shirts are the ones that are with Visor 1 and are helping them escape. These should be blue shirts. These should be Visor 3's Hork-Bajir. I don't know what happened here with this is a colorist thing, but then if you look at the actual lettering, it doesn't make any sense either, because he mentions, Tobias calls out and he says, all of them are in red. That would mean that they're on their side. That would mean that they're helping them escape. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense. They should be blue. These Hork-Bajir should be blue. They're Visor 3's Hork-Bajir. Unless I'm missing something. Am I missing something? I don't know. So the rest of the book, I'm going to have to recommend you go pick up and read for yourself to see how it ends. I really like this one. I did really like this one. This is probably my second favorite of the 5 graphic novels. As I said multiple times, it's much better than book 4. I think that the material that Chris had to pull from worked a lot better in the visual medium, so this definitely helped out a lot. Some of the other books didn't necessarily lend themselves to the visual medium as well. Book 2 comes to mind because it's very much exposition heavy and talking, and there's not a whole lot of visual things you could do with it. This had a lot of stuff going on. It's one of the best books in the series, and I highly recommend picking this up. Even if you've only picked up the first one and you want to just skip it and you only want to get one more, this is the one I would recommend. There are some things that I have some critiques of, like the lack of background work in the panels, as I said, but there are far more backgrounds than there were in book 4. The Andalite stalk eyes are kind of lazy. I mean, they just kind of look like nubs. There's kind of some boring layouts in a few spots. I didn't necessarily cover all of those, but that part wasn't really too distracting. The distracting part came from the way all the human characters look the same. They're drawn the same. And also that weird transition in the middle of the book where it's like from Rachel's perspective, it didn't make any sense. I don't know like what happened there or why that's there. But the good far outweighs the bad, I think, with this book. I think they're great animal drawings as always. Chris always does a great job with that. Some good splash pages as there was in the previous books. Some great splash pages here. I like the ship designs far better than the lame dome ship that we got in the last book. Easy to follow action. You can tell what's happening. There's some like cartoony action in that one spot that I talked about, which I think works. It does feel like a lot more effort went into this one than book 4. And it shows. I think the effort is plain to see on the page. If you pull this book out and compare it to book 4, maybe it was just because book 4 was harder to translate because most of it is in the ocean. I don't really know what happened with that book, but again, big step up from book 4. Highly recommend this if you are an Animorphs fan. Even if you got in the other books, this one stands alone. If this is the only one you want to pick up, pick it up. I think that this is definitely worth picking up. It's kind of a different way to review this one, but this was a fun Animorph-a-Monday. I get to review brand new Animorphs content on the channel, so I'll probably won't see you guys for another Animorphs video till next month, but we'll wait and see. Next month's video will be pretty interesting. It'll be pretty interesting, so I'm looking forward to sharing that one with you guys. But did you guys pick up book number 5 already? Did you read it? If you did, comment and let me know what your thoughts are on it. Was there anything that I didn't mention or wasn't talked about here, maybe that you had some thoughts on? Comment and let me know. Continue the conversation in the comments. I always like seeing what you guys have to say. And I just want to thank everybody for sticking around on this video. Thank you, subscribers. All of you are awesome. And if you like this video, please like it, comment, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff or don't. I'm not a beggar. I'm Geetru64, and I always tell you the truth.